This is the lecture for the two Blackshaw articles and the Hendricks article, kind of the back and forth about abortion. There's nothing really to mention aside from, similarly to the previous lecture, here's another phrase from the glossary, which has come up quite a bit, I think, in the class already. I think we've seen it probably at least 2 or 3 times, if not more. It's begging the question or question begging. As the glossary on my website points out, this does not mean raising the question. In sort of ordinary English, people often use beg the question to mean raise the question. No. In philosophy, it means something different. In philosophy, begging the question is so. Does Blackshaw actually doesn't even use the term begging the question. But Blackshaw says what Hendricks is doing is to smuggle the conclusion that abortion is immoral into the argument's premises. So that's what begging the question is. Begging the question is when you make an argument where the conclusion shows up in the premises. So if I'm trying to argue that God exists, I might say, look, the Bible says that God exists, so therefore God exists. No, sorry, that's a bad one. If the sutras or the Vedas say that God exists, the Vedas were written by God, and so therefore God exists, and because God wrote these things, so you can trust them. But that smuggles the conclusion into the premises because the idea that the Vedas were written by God already assumes that God exists. So, my argument is maybe not going to be very convincing for somebody who doesn't believe God exists because they already have to accept the conclusion to accept the premises. So that's the worry about begging the question. Hendricks himself uses the phrase question begging. So he says, Blackshaw accuses me of begging the question. So this is just to highlight, that's what the phrase means, and again to remind you that the glossary exists.